Greetings, greetings, greetings and salutations to one and all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a brand spanking new week right here on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. How you doing, how you doing, how you doing? How was your strong end? It's a night week, have a thing where we call community and finance. I want to say big ups to each and everyone locked in right now, those on TuneIn Radio, the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Those near and far, One Harmony Radio across the pond, the top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK. WGLRO that takes you from the sheets to the streets to the morning show. Donnie Walker is on vacation right now. Comes back next week, all being well. Of course, those locked in on PEMGTV.com. And right here on the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com. Glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you. You have my word, I wouldn't even try. Kicking it up with a Leon Caldero. The track is called Zaddy. It's all about the sweetness. Ladies, do you have your zaddy? Your sugar daddy? So if the man is a zaddy, is the woman the zombie? Leon Caldero, I want to know. It's Community and Finance, and I want to say thank you to our sponsors of this segment of the show. That's Pulse Media Group. When being in a moment is priceless, you want to give them a link. Seven 754-999-6020 is the number that gets you in touch. Pulse Media Group can capture your moments, can stream your moments, can give you something like what you see right here on kevinstew.com. Give them a call. Visit the website and send them an email. And tell them you heard about them right here on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. So, if you don't have a zaddy or a zombie, if you don't have someone to take care of your bills and they're piling up on you and you're in a little bit of debt, who do you call? Well, we know who calls you. When I first came to the US, I remember talking to someone and they were saying, you know, this the house phone was ringing, and they were like, I only keep a house phone for emergencies. Um, I don't even really pay attention to those calls because anybody that knows me knows to call my cell phone. And so there would be some calls coming in, and I'd be like, "You want me to get that?" Because here I am. I'm leaving from Jamaica, where the phone rings, you pick it up. Well, in this house, the house phone ring, you wait on the answering machine to pick it up, and then you check you if it is someone you want to talk to. You either call them back or you intercept the call from the recording, the person leaving the message. All right, so and I remember one of the times it was said, it's probably some debt collectors. Now, right off the bat, I got the impression that these debt collectors were not some people that people wanted to hear from. So immediately there was this perception of debt collectors that was cast that pretty much said these debt collectors are horrible people. Nobody wants to hear from them, and so they're the bad guys. But in a country like the US, where everything is credit driven, chances are you'll be in debt at some point or another. So from that time, and I'm talking about when I first visited the US as a teenager on vacation, kind of a thing, hearing about debt collectors being just horrible, horrible, horrible people that nobody wants to be friends with. And if you're a debt collector, there's no way that you could be anybody that has friends. You have to be this horrible person to be a debt collector. So fast forward to now, when I live here, some of those stories have not changed. People still avoid debt collectors. They don't want to hear anything that debt collectors have to tell them. They find out that a debt collector is on the phone, or there's a piece of mail from a debt collection agency. They don't want anything to do with it. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I've often wondered why. First of all, why are they in this debt? And secondly, why do they not want to talk to these people? Anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Now, according to the Federal Trade Commission and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, debt collectors are one of the most complained about businesses, and they say it is with good reason. Few people have positive experiences dealing with debt collectors. Even the rare nice ones can be a nuisance. And this is even if just dealing, if just for the fact that they're calling for money. Just because of that. They're just horrible. Now, after debts have become seriously delinquent, it is typically cheaper for businesses to use collectors. So it is not likely that debt collectors are going anywhere anytime soon. Just get that into your head from now. As a consumer, it is best to know how debt collectors operate in case you ever have to deal with one. And this now is the beginning of where I come in tonight. Because we're going to shed some light on this whole debt collection thing. Yeah? What is debt collection? Big question, first question. Is there such a thing as a nice debt collector? Yes. Yes, there is. I recently had made some new friends, and a couple of them are debt collectors. Really, really nice people. And I've been getting some insight into debt collection and some of the things that they can do and some of the things that they can't do. And we're gonna be coming across some of those things as we go through tonight. So call a friend, tell some people, hey, listen, you might want to tune into this. If you live in the US, you definitely want to tune into this because you will definitely know someone that is in debt. Guaranteed. Marlon, welcome to the show, bro. 101, glad to have you. Glad to anybody tuned in, listening in anywhere else and want to participate actively. 773-789 Stu gets you in touch. You can call, you can text, or you can jump into the stew pot on kevinstew.com. I do recommend jumping into the stew pot more than texting, but if you want to have direct interaction live and in living color, please call. Don't be shy. Call. You will remain anonymous if you choose to, and if you want people to know who you are, that's fine. You can do that too. You can say who you are and where you're calling from. It's all up to you. But the most important thing is the sharing of information. A debt collection is a type of financial account that has been sent to a third party debt collector. Right? Debt collectors are companies who collect unpaid debts for others. So they collect the debt for the people who are owed the debt. The original company with which you created the debt most likely assigned or sold the account to the collection agency after you missed several payments and it was unable to get you to pay. So you missed payments and the company was falling short of either making contact with you or convincing you that, hey, listen, you owe this debt, please pay. It's usually more cost effective for companies to hire debt collectors than to continue to spend their own resources pursuing payment on delinquent accounts. Different creditors and lenders have different policies for sending accounts to collections. Reviewing your credit card or your loan agreement will often give you some information about your creditor's timeline. Many credit card accounts are sent to collection agencies after 180 days or 6 months of non-payment. That's a long time. Other types of businesses may send accounts to collection agencies after just a month or two or just a few missed payments. So know what is in your contract. Know what the company that you're dealing with, what their terms are. Now, what should you expect when you have a collection account? This now is getting deeper into the mix of things. When they're trying to get you, the person who, the debtor, when they're trying to get you to pay your debt, debt collectors will call you, they'll send letters, and they notify the credit bureaus of the collection account. Now, if they have your work phone number, debt collectors may even call you at your place of employment, unless you let them know your employer does not approve of those types of calls. Now, some collectors have been known to show up at a person's home in their attempt to collect a debt. Surprisingly, believe it or not, that is legal. Debt collectors might even call your cell phone. If you give the number to your creditor to contact you, the debt collector will have it. Debt collectors can only call, pay attention, they can only call between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. your local time. So those that are listening in on the West Coast, you'd probably be getting a call. You're still able to get calls now. Those on the East Coast, no. If you get a call from a debt collector at this time, that's a problem. Debt collectors may call you several times a day, especially if you're dodging their phone calls. However, collectors are forbidden, yes, you heard, forbidden from calling you back to back in an attempt to annoy you. When a debt collector has a hard time reaching you, they may call your friends or your neighbors to make sure they have the correct information for you. They're allowed to do this, but they're not allowed to reveal that they're collecting a debt, and they can't contact the same person more than once. Debt collectors will send payment notices to the addresses they have on file for you. In their first bill to you, they have to notify you that you have 30 days to request a validation of debt. Now, requesting validation forces a debt collector to provide proof that you owe the debt. The debt validation notice may also be given to you over the phone if a phone call is the first time the collector is contacting you. Now, if they don't have the correct address, you may never receive a notice of the debt. And if the collector doesn't have your correct phone number or address, you may not find out about the account until you see it listed on your credit report. Now, if it's listed on your credit report, then chances are you are not in good standing, because these things tend to affect your credit report negatively. Anyway, debt collectors are required to follow the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA. When they're collecting a debt from you, this is imperative that they operate within these guidelines. However, thousands of complaints consumers make against debt collectors each year proves that they don't always follow the law. So, that part of it tends to get hairy sometimes, because there are cases of people filing suits against debt settlement agents. Not debt settlement agencies, but debt collection agencies. Debt settlement agencies is for later. So, how do collections end up on your credit report? Well, your credit report contains information about your credit accounts, like your credit cards, your loans, things like that. And most, if not all, of your creditors send monthly updates about your payment status to your credit report. When an account is sent to a collection agency, either the original creditor or the collector updates the account on your credit report with a collection status. The creditor doesn't have to tell you that your account is being sent to collections. However, the debt collector does have to notify you that they are collecting the debt before they can take any action. A collection account may appear on one or all three of your credit reports, depending on which credit bureaus the debt collector has an agreement with. If you're wondering how the debt collector gets your info, you, or I guess there's more. There's more to that one. 101. Okay. Um. So where were we? Right. So the a collection account may appear on one or all three of the credit reports, depending on how the on which credit bureau the debt collector has an arrangement with, or the actual lending agency has arrangements with. So when it gets on these credit reports, what does that mean for your credit? How does that affect your credit? A debt collection, um, if you're wondering how the debt collector gets your info, when you contact them and they ask for additional. Okay, I'll just wait until you finish sending all your messages. Again, if you want to contact me or share some information with the show, there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can text 773-789-7839. Easy way to remember it, 773-789-STEW. You can Skype. Yes, you can Skype. Kevin.stew. Skype is available through Kevin.stew. And you can jump into the stew pot where we always keep things bubbling on kevinstew.com. Others call it a chat room. We're very fancy. We call it the stew pot. So a debt collection is one of the worst types of credit report accounts. One of the worst. And a collection account shows that you have become seriously delinquent on a particular account. So naturally, if you've become seriously delinquent, then people are going to look at you sideways when you come to borrow from them, whether you want to apply for a credit card or a loan or something. You're going to get hit with high interest rates because these things are showing up on your credit report. Your credit score will drop if a collection appears on your report. You may be denied for credit cards and loans in the future, especially if the collection is recent or remains unpaid, or both. Accurate debt collection accounts can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. And if your credit report contains a collection that doesn't belong to you, you can have it removed by disputing it with the credit bureau. You can lessen the effects of a collection on your credit score by paying it off. As time passes, the collection account will affect your credit less. Continuing to pay off all your other bills on time will also help your credit score to recover from debt collection. So remember, your account goes to a debt collector, it's going to affect your credit score. It's going to affect your ability to get loans, whether it be a car loan, a mortgage, a credit card. And if you do get them, you're going to get them with high interest rates because you're then seen as a liability. Because your credit history would not be showing you being one who can take care of your debts. And that is how, if you have an account that goes to collection, that is how it will negatively affect you. It will mess your credit up. So when you take that into consideration, who then would be the good guys and the bad guys when you get to the point of collection? Because now you are in a place where you're being contacted about this debt. Okay, so if you're wondering how the debt collector gets your info, when you contact them and they ask for additional info, they record your email, your cell, your emergency contact, even if you don't provide it on the application. Well, is that true? Has that been your experience? Has someone told you that? Um, in some of the conversations that I've had with debt collectors, I'm not too sure that's quite how it goes. um, Although they will search for your information, and your information is pretty much public record. So anywhere you have your information, then chances are it can be found. Do they get into all of that searching to find it? Well, depending on how much you owe, I guess. But if you're going to, there's no agency that is going to give you credit or a loan and not have contact information for you. They have to be able to reach you. Now, if you change your information, then you're hiding. Why are you hiding? So they should really have your information at all times, unless you have no intention of paying it back. And if you have no intention of paying it back, I'm pretty sure that there are methods that you can work that out. But we'll get into some of those in a minute. We're gonna take a quick little break. But I encourage you, call a friend, tell a friend. We're talking about something that all Americans should be either listening to or participating in at this point. Because in a country like this where credit is king, you may or may not end up in a position where you may have to be in collections. Now, whether you owe and are paying off and haven't been into collections yet, because as they said, a lot of the times it takes up to 6 months before you get to collections. Now, if it's going to take 6 months, surely if you start paying something on this debt, you won't end up in collections. So it seems like it's pretty difficult to end up in collection, depending on the agency that you're borrowing from or you have your credit with. So find out, read the fine print, read your contract, ask questions. We're gonna come back and talk some more. We're gonna look at debt settlement when we come back from the break, and how it works and what are some of the risks that you can face with debt settlement. Is it worth it? So we get to look at all of these things before the end of the show tonight. But call a friend, tell a friend. It's a night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, community and finance night. And tonight is more finance as we share in the community. Yeah? We'll be right back.
Policy Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulse Media Group.
Are you crazy about the music industry? You aspire to hit it big in music? Or maybe you've sweated out a soulful killer beat and are now stuck finding it's not as easy as it looked. Oh, but it can be easy for you with JTMC. We've been there, we know how it feels, so we solve challenges like production, promotion, marketing, branding and development, and more. With over 30 years of experience, JTMC is a one-stop shop for artists. We handle your graphic design, writing services, PR, as well as event planning, e-blasts, artist management, and bookings, so also your website and social media needs as well. We're experts in using creativity to persuade audiences on behalf of artists, drawing on our diverse experience to create projects that connect with audiences intellectually and emotionally. Artist success is everything to us, and our years of experience and commitment will be behind you for every one of your needs. If you've got music for the world to hear, whether you're a new or established artist, visit us at jtmcenterprise.com.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school,
In math,
I learned that I'm ugly
I
and
learned
useless.
that I'm trash.
And in gym,
In biology,
I learned that I'm pathetic
I learned that I'm fat
and a
and
joke.
stupid.
In history,
Today in
I learned that
school,
I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick.
And in
And
gym,
at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell.
and a joke.
In chemistry, I learned that no one
In
likes me.
biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid.
In English,
And in
I
math,
learned that I make people
I
sick.
learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today
The only thing I didn't learn today
The only thing I didn't learn,
It's why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." With this in mind, and encouragement received during a South Florida media conference, The Church Links was birthed. The Church Links is an interdenominational worship service portal for churches, providing the tools to spread the word through technology in a cost-effective way. The Church Links, www.dahchurchlinx.com. Your links to worship and praise.
I'm representing for DJ Kevin Stew, working on the night shift radio show. Won't go changing like the weather, just to please the devil never. Will DJ Kevin Stew sell his soul? That's a word and honor. It's Christine representing word and honor. Selassie DJ Kevin Stew.
I need time for myself, time to think. Can't please everybody, stop talking to me. I'm so tired of myself, hard to break. Can't please anybody, stop talking to me. And it doesn't matter at all if I win or if I fall. My feelings are stuck inside me, but nobody can see. My feelings are stuck inside me. Can you rescue me? Can you rescue me? Can you rescue me? If I could forget and erase all
welcome you back to the show.
when nobody
The
can
track in the background is called Rescue Me. A young lady by the name of Rebecca Barbosa, hailing out of Amsterdam.
Can you rescue me?
I want to say thanks to our sponsor for this segment of the show, Althea, with her heavenly healing hands.
Wanna feel like I'm alive again.
And boy, does she have healing hands.
You're the only one who does.
So you're in need of a good massage, licensed massage therapist Althea SU will come to you. If you're in Broad County, North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach County, just give her a call, 954-655-9000. She brings her table, she brings her oils, and even if you have oils, she'll just, she has the healing heavenly hands. If you can't call her, and you can email thealater@att.net. Go ahead, make arrangements for your massage right now. Tell her you heard about her on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Sometimes all it takes is a good massage to feel rescued, you know. But it doesn't help you in a situation where it affects you being in debt. Now, if you're already in debt and you're going to call Althea, try understand the massage is not free. So, discuss your payment beforehand and you can still get your massage. Alright? It really helps to clear the mind and relax the body. Very important. Alright, so in the event that you have to settle up your debts before you can get a massage, well, how do you go about doing that? What does it mean to do that? Before we went on the break, it was mentioned in the stew pot that information when you contact a collection agency, a debt collection agency, they may have, or when they contact you, they may have received your information from being your contact info, your email, your cell phone, all these things from application information, putting all this information on your application. But also, it was said that even if you don't provide some of the information, debt collectors will have it. Not everyone puts all their contact information on credit applications. They may decide to put it on their landline initially. A few months go by, and you call to ask a question. The friendly service rep cordially asks if there's any other way to contact you, for example, for promotional offers, and you will gladly share the information with them, not thinking that in the future, if you become delinquent, then they will use it to contact you. Well, again, it comes back to the question, why would you not want to be contacted if you have intentions to pay? You owe, you pay. If you don't owe, you dispute. Is that being too simple-minded? I don't know. I have to ask these questions these days, because people tend to get offended when I take a certain position from time to time. But that's okay. You're well within your rights to be offended because of how you receive it. So, debt settlement means a creditor has agreed to accept less than the amount you owe as full payment. It also means collectors can continue to hound you for the money, and you don't, well, sorry, they cannot continue to hound you for the money, and you don't have to worry that you could be sued over the debt. Oh, yeah, you can get sued when you owe to, because it's other people's money. Now, it sounds like a good deal to go ahead and settle, but debt settlement can actually be a little bit risky. For one, debt settlement can destroy your credit. Reaching a settlement can take a long time to accomplish, often between 2 to 4 years, and it can also be quite costly. Even if you are successful at debt settlement, it can take years, and you may discover you owe tax on any forgiven debt. And if you use a debt settlement company, you'll pay fees. So you might want to consider that as a last resort. But if you consider that as a last resort, then what is your first option? How about the collection agency or the creditor themselves? Maybe, just maybe, if the debt settlement agency is your last resort. But is there anything else? Let's look at how debt settlement works before we get into the anything else. Debt settlement comes into play only when you have many late or skipped payments and possibly collection amounts. A creditor or collector is not going to accept less than you owe if there's reason to believe you could pay the full amount that you originally agreed to. The credit scores will have been shredded. You will feel hopelessly behind on your income hopelessly behind, and your income won't be enough to keep up with your debt obligations. Debt settlement. The debt settlement companies negotiated creditors to reduce what you owe, mostly on unsecured debt such as credit cards. It is not an option for certain types of debt. Things like a house that can be foreclosed on or a car that can be repossessed. You'll not end up finding those with a debt settlement agency. Companies typically don't settle federal student loans, but you might be able to settle your student loans on your own. If you're struggling with your student loans, an income-based repayment plan might be what you need to help you out of that situation. Settlement offers work only if it seems you won't pay at all. So you stop making payments on your debts, then there you go. Instead, you open a savings account and you put a monthly payment there. Once the settlement company believes the account has enough for a lump sum offer, it negotiates on your behalf with the creditor to accept a smaller amount. So, alright. Just to make sure that I have this right. Basically, they're saying you go to these debt settlement agencies and you pay them, or no, you open a savings account with them and you're continuously putting money into the savings account. And when they believe that they have enough to settle your account for a lesser amount than is owed, then they pitch that. So wait, how long does that take? And what is happening to your debt during that time? And is that something for free? Some debt settlement companies say they can reduce your debt by 50% and get you debt free within 36 months. That's 3 years. However, the process is not as clear cut and as easy as it sounds. Again, debt settlement should possibly be your last resort. Why? Okay, here are some risks. 1, your credit will take a hit. If you're not already delinquent on your accounts, you will be once you divert debt payments towards the settlement account. Delinquent accounts and debt charged off by lenders stay on your credit reports for 7 years. Penalties and interest will continue to accrue. So you'll likely be hit with late charges and penalty fees as well. Interest will keep racking up on your balance. So your balance is continuously growing. Next thing is there's no guarantee of success with debt settlement. The 2 largest debt settlement companies are National Debt Relief and Freedom Debt Relief. Freedom Debt, for instance, says it has settled more than $8 billion in debt for more than 450,000 clients since 2002. However, there is no guarantee that debt settlement company that the debt settlement company can resolve your debt for significantly less, considering some creditors do not negotiate with debt settlement agencies. Well, let me ask you this question. For those of you who have signed up with a debt settlement agency, did they tell you that bit of information? According to a study by the Center for Responsible Lending, a non-profit research and policy group, most consumers would have to settle at least 4 accounts to receive a net benefit. And in addition to that, debt totals may rise as fees accrue, and aggressive collection attempts may continue. So, you being with a debt settlement agency doesn't stop the collection attempts. Again, you're putting money into a fund, so to speak. You're putting money into an account that the agency is going to say, all right, let it stay there and build. And then we will settle with the lender. But your debt is increasing because of fees and interest. And your credit report is suffering. In addition to that, you may have to pay a fee when the debt settles. By law, these companies cannot charge you upfront fees. Most of them charge a percentage of the debt they settle. Now, based on that debt balance, when you enrolled it in the program, that is how they calculate their fee. Some charge a percentage of the debt eliminated by the settlement. So that's at the back end. So if you owe $10,000 and the agency negotiates a settlement for 6, the agency charges 25%. If the agency charges a percentage of settled debt, you would pay the creditor its $6,000 and pay the agency $2,500 in fees. That's 25% of the $10,000 balance. What you end up paying is $8,500. You see that? How much of a saving is that? If the agency charges a percentage of the eliminated debt, you'd pay the creditor $6,000 and the agency $1,000 in fee, 25% of the $4,000 in eliminated debt, a total of $7,000. Either way, you'll be paying. And you'll pay additional fees. Because besides the fees paid when a debt settles, customers can face other fees, such as setup and monthly fee to maintain the dedicated account set up under the program to pay off your debt. So you're paying more fees on top of your fees. No. In addition to that, the forgiven debt could be taxable. So you should also be aware that the Internal Revenue Service generally regards forgiven debt as income. You may want to consult a tax professional and about additional tax obligations that you'll be taking on if you settle your debt. Now, if you do decide to enlist the services of a debt settlement professional, be careful. It is easy to let your guard down when you're feeling desperate and see promises of debt relief. The National Consumer Law Center has said debt settlement companies are almost never worthwhile and can get consumers into deeper financial trouble. My question is, at this point, why are they still allowed to operate? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau takes a somewhat softer view, but still cautions consumers strongly, saying that dealing with such a company is risky and that other options should be explored first. There have been over 330 complaints against debt settlement companies to the CFPB since 2014. Among the most common claims were fraud and excessive fees. So, are there alternatives to debt settlement then? Michael Bovey, a debt settlement coach and a frequent critic of his industry, has testified before the Federal Trade Commission in favor of more regulation. And he advises erasing your debt through Chapter 7 bankruptcy and starting again if you have the option. Now, for borrowers who are overwhelmed by unsecured debt such as credit cards, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy is almost always a better option than debt settlement. Yes, bankruptcy will slur your credit history for it will sully, they say, your credit history for years. But the rebuilding process can begin immediately. Consultations with a bankruptcy attorney are typically free, although you will pay legal and filing fees if you choose to go that route. Something to consider. Now, before we take another break, let me tell you this real quick. If you can erase your debts in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that's a much better option than trying to negotiate settlements. And that's what NerdWallet columnist Liz Weston, author of Your Credit Score and Deal with Your Debt, has to say. And she also says, only if Chapter 7 is not an option, you refuse to file for a bankruptcy, or you can only qualify for a Chapter 13 repayment plan. When all of those fail, at that point you should consider debt settlement. If you do not qualify for a bankruptcy or you don't want to file one, consider a debt management plan offered through a non-profit credit counselor. Going that route will not typically reduce the amount that you must repay, but it may reduce your monthly payments by stretching them out by reducing your interest rate. Or it could reduce your interest rate. And it will have less of an impact on your credit than either bankruptcy or a debt settlement. Now, if you do decide to try a settlement, there are some things that you want to consider. And when we come back from the break, we're going to be looking at some of those things. Again, it's a night shift to DJ Kevin Stew Community and Finance Night. We're looking at credit debt collectors and debt settlement agencies. Are you familiar with them? Do you know how they operate? Do you know what they do? Do you know which ones are actually there to help you and can help you? That's what we're looking at tonight. And right now we're looking at debt settlement agencies. We started off looking at debt collections. Now we're looking at DSAs, debt settlement agencies. Call a friend, tell a friend, take some notes, share it with somebody. We can only benefit from the information, even if you're not in debt. If it so happens that things turn upside down and you end up in debt, it's good to have this information. But I can guarantee you also, you know someone that's in debt. We'll be right back after these messages. Call a friend, tell a friend. 773-789-STEW gets you in touch. 773-789-7839. Jump into the stew pot on kevinstew.com. Be interactive. We can only benefit, all of us, from it. We'll be right back.
It takes an entire village to raise a child. Hello, I'm Paul Campbell, here to talk about Palace. Peace and Love Academic Scholarship. This non-profit group supports students facing serious obstacles from entering or continuing their studies, not because the grades are failing, but due to the lack of financial support.
Over the past 8 years, Palace has awarded 600 scholarships valued at approximately 50.3 million Jamaican dollars, or 415,000 US dollars.
Together, we must build a better future for our children. Please visit www.palace1.org and make your donation to brighten the future of a deserving child. Palace, preserving young minds for posterity.
When being in the moment is priceless, consider the ability to share that moment. If you can video it, you can broadcast it. And Pulse eMedia Group has the tools you need. Weddings, birthdays, funerals, graduations, church services, parties, seminars, you name it. Pulse eMedia Group can provide you with a secure medium controlled by you to broadcast your event. Contact us at www.pulseemediagroup.com for more information. Pulse eMedia Group, when being in the moment is priceless.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. You see me around the neighborhood and you tell me that I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm 1 out of every 5 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger.
Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help.
Every dollar you donate helps provide 8 meals for kids like me. We are Feeding America, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
JTMC Music presents the highly anticipated, much talked about, The Juggling Rhythm Volume 1. This classic rhythm takes on a new life with tracks from both established artists and introduces some incredible new voices. Get your dancing shoes ready with The Juggling Rhythm, featuring international reggae dancehall artist Mr. Vegas, alongside Ian Sweetness, Ed Robinson, Jack Radix, Hezron, Dangling, Joanna Marie featuring Galaxy B, Denny Ranks featuring Jawiz, Ambalik, Christine Alicia, Yishka. Also the new sensations on the rhythm: Seal, Danger Lee, Marquis Skelenar, Zachary. Available on all digital media outlets. The Juggling Rhythm. Get it, get it, get it.
Yes. Akar Mantino, I'm making notes right now. You are locked in to DJ Kevin Stew on the night shift.
Are you
Just do you want no penny nobody. So when you're meditating, I got money, good life you're penetrating. You want go speak straight, elevating. Go hard right now, no waiting. The question is what you do today, king. You can't cheat life, that I no debating. You have to put in the work, forget the great things. All night, all day, till you see the scrapings. Ching. You can't fail if you try, no way. Let God be your guide all day. Give your all every time I say. Just do you want no penny nobody. Right now all you have is today. Go all out and not go halfway. You can't win, that is all I say. Just do you want no penny nobody. Me I beg you overs on guitar. Me no mean you fi work hard. When me mean is you fi smart, massa. Cause some who know about what. Now see ma who know yard. Always pan guard, no sir. You fi include the master. Overstand say that a the forecaster. Get balance with God in the center. So everything you want you will get that faster. You can't fail if you try, no way. Let God be your guide all day. Give your all every time I say. Just do you want no penny nobody. Right now all you have is today. Go all out and not go halfway. You can't win, that is all I say. Just do you want no penny nobody. You can't fail if you try, no way. Let God be your guide all day. Give your all every time I say. Just do you want no penny.
The sound of Caramanti. A track called Eyes Open Up from her new album Hurt People. I want to thank JTMC for sponsoring this segment of the show. JTMC will take care of your tour management, your bookings, your promotions, your event management, your social media management, your entertainment needs. Just give them a call, 678-793-8800. Actually, no. They have new numbers. Visit them at jtmcenterprise.com. JTMC is going to have my head for this. But it's a good thing forgiveness is available. Even if you owe money, forgiveness is available. Just got a message while we were on the break that just kind of threw me for a loop. And okay, back to the matter at hand. We're talking about debt collectors and debt settlement agencies. And let me say this. They're not the same. And we are looking to see right now which ones are really the friends and which ones are the foes. Because based on what we just learned about debt settlement agencies, with them being the very last resort, then they can't be that friendly. They can't be that helpful. If you decide to try debt settlement, there are some things that you want to consider. If you feel debt settlement is the best or most appropriate choice for you, and you want some assistance in pursuing debt settlement, there are some tips for choosing a company wisely. 1. Check with the Better Business Bureau to see if there's a history of complaints. Then stay away from any company that seeks money in advance or guarantees that your debt can be settled. There is no guarantee. Make sure fees are structured as a percentage of debt eliminated rather than of debt balance at enrollment. That gives the company incentive to trim more of your debt. Avoid companies that promise to help you challenge debt to have them declared invalid, a tactic that can backfire and result in more aggressive action against you. If you don't want to use a debt settlement company, consider using a lawyer or doing it yourself. And yes, you can actually arrange for a settlement yourself by contacting the lender. Contact your creditor. A lawyer may bill by the hour. They may have a flat fee per creditor, or they may charge a percentage of debt or debt eliminated. So you're going to have to pay. Once you're significantly behind, it usually doesn't hurt to reach out to your creditors. Some banks have hardship programs that may be able to help. But be certain you can afford any reduced payment options your bank may offer. If you want to try negotiating a settlement yourself, educate yourself on what's likely to happen. Do the research. Information is there. You may want to gather as much cash as you can to make a lump sum offer. Whether this means taking a part-time job, selling sports equipment that has been languishing in the basement, if you have a basement, or laying around the house, or borrowing money from a friend, a cousin, a 401k, whatever is available. Creditors may be likelier to take a lump sum offer, which gives them more money immediately, rather than taking a chance on payments that might not come. Also, you want to be aware that some creditors may have a policy against settling debts. These are all things you need to be aware of. So, you still have to ask the question, is debt settlement worth it? Yes, no, maybe so. You think it is? Remember, debt settlement is a service offered by third-party companies that can try to reduce your debt by negotiating settlements with your creditors or your debt collectors. So the debt settlement agency is calling the debt collector or calling the creditor. Some debt settlement companies may be successful at reducing your debt, but their services and programs also come with risks that could leave you in deeper debt. Debt settlement could even end up damaging your credit. When considering debt settlement programs, it's important to do your research to avoid debt relief scams. Leslie Tain, founder and head attorney at Tain Law Group, which specializes in debt relief, says, if you're looking to get rid of the burden of debt, the last thing you want to be dealing with is a scam from a company that promises to help. Again, there are some pros and there are some cons. Like with many things that we face in life, we come into contact with. There can be actually a few pros to debt settlement, but you should carefully consider the potential risks of debt settlement. Carefully. So, what are these pros? It could lower your debt amount. It could help you avoid bankruptcy. And it could get creditors and collectors off your back. What are the cons? Your creditors may not agree to negotiate. Not only is there no guarantee that the debt settlement company will be able to successfully reach a settlement for all your debts, but some creditors won't negotiate with debt settlement companies at all. You could end up with even more debt. If you stop making payments on a debt, you could end up paying late fees or interest. You could even face collection efforts or a lawsuit filed by a collector or a debt collector. Also, if the company negotiates a successful debt settlement, the portion of your debt that's forgiven could be considered taxable income. And this is when you file your taxes. So you may have to pay taxes on it. If you're questioning why it will be considered taxable income, remember, you used someone else's money, which is why you're in this debt now. So you already either used the service that it paid for, or you have the product that it paid for. So you have something, you have gotten something. So if you write it off, then there's a taxable portion. There's a possibility of a taxable portion. You may be charged fees even if your whole debt wasn't settled. The debt settlement companies cannot collect a fee until they've reached a settlement agreement. You've agreed to the settlement and you've made at least one payment to the collector or to the creditor or the debt collector as a result of the agreement. But you could still end up paying a portion of the debt settlement company's full fees on the rest of your unsettled debt. And that's really how these things work. Bruce McCleary, Vice President of Public Relations and Communications at the National Federation for Credit Counseling, says if you have 5 or 6 creditors and the company settles one of those debts, they can start charging a fee as soon as they receive the result. Just one. And if a debt relief company settled up a proportion of your total debt enrolled with its program, it can charge you the same proportion of the total fee. So if your total debts come to $10,000 and the debt relief company settled $5,000 of the total amount, it's allowed to charge 50% of the total agreed upon fee. Do you have that to pay? So you're settling for a fee and then have to, for a reduced amount, but still have to pay out. You could probably settle that with the company that you owe the money directly. So you don't need the debt settlement agency to be paying them additional fees. Additionally, the cons have not stopped yet. It could negatively impact your credit. We looked at this earlier. A debt settlement company may encourage you to stop making payments on your debts while you save up money for a lump sum payment. But at this point, your creditors might not have agreed to anything, which means all those payments that you're missing can wind up as delinquent accounts on your credit report. The debt settlement agency is not feeling this. You are. Your credit scores could take a hit as a result of any delinquent payments, and the creditor could also send your account to collections or sue you over the debt. So, how does this help? So, what could you do to avoid all of these negatives that we've been looking at, all these cons? Try negotiating your settlement with your creditors on your own. Offer an amount that you can pay immediately. And if there's less than what you owe, it could work out in your favor. Transfer balances. If you have credit card debt, consider a balance transfer. And this usually happens if you move a debt from one credit card to another. Now, what you could do there is take advantage of an introductory 0% interest offer on the new card. Balance transfers typically have one of those 0% intro APR offers for a specified period of time and may charge a fixed fee or a percentage of the amount that you transfer. Now, to figure out if a balance transfer is a good idea for you, check whether you will pay more money on the interest payments or on your current card than the cost of any balance transfer fees. And you should also try to pay off the balance before the card's promotional period expires. And this now will prevent interest on your transferred balance. See how that works? Kind of cool. You could also seek non-profit credit counseling. There are non-profit organizations that may provide credit counseling services that offer free or low-cost advice on budgeting and debt management. Credit counseling organizations don't typically negotiate to reduce debt, but they may work with creditors on payment plans or stop late fees or collection efforts. So look into that. What is your bottom line here? Debt settlement companies may be able to reduce your debt amount with creditors, but there are no guarantees. Hence, the operative word may. Before you enroll in any debt settlement program, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau recommends contacting your state attorney general and local consumer protection agency to check whether there are any complaints on file about this agency. The state attorney's general office can also check if the company is required to be licensed and whether it meets your state's requirements. Ultimately, you may find that it's a better bet to work on your own or with a non-profit credit counseling organization. Working on your own, what does that mean? Talking to the debt collector or talking to your creditor. So, when you look at those options, when you look at those pros and cons and you do that comparison, who then is the good guy in all of this? Is it the debt collector or is it the debt settlement agency that has come to your rescue? Well, for me, and I guess my opinion is somewhat biased because I know debt collectors and I have been talking to them and asking questions and learning about what they do. And really and truly, you get a call from a debt collector, your interest is at hand. You're better off talking to a debt collector than you are with a debt settlement agency. So with that, in that respect, the debt collector is on your side. They're working in your favor. So you stand a better chance of maintaining or rebuilding your credit when you talk to the debt collector. So your phone rings and it's a debt collector on the phone or a debt collection agency. Don't hide. Don't tell any stories. Talk to them. Now, don't get me wrong. When talking to the collectors, as I was talking to them, yes, and as I started off the show, debt collectors have a bad rap, earned a bad rap because of how they used to operate. They used to actually hound you. They used to show, some would show, and it's legal. It's all legal. They would call you constantly. They would show up at your place of employment. They would call your place of employment. And these are all things that they can do, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show. But it's only an effort to get in touch with you, as I've come to realize. They wouldn't be trying all of these things to get in touch with you if you were available. So make yourself available. And when you do that, have a conversation with them. Tell them what your hardship is. You heard them say, I mentioned earlier, a lot of these banks have hardship programs. So tell them what your hardship is. And see what can be worked out. Filing bankruptcy And at last resort, going to a debt settlement agency, you pretty much hit rock bottom before you can get back up. Talking to your debt collector or talking to your lending agency, your creditor, you may not have to hit rock bottom. In fact, there's a better chance that you won't hit rock bottom before coming back up. Because now it will be reported to the credit bureaus that you're paying on your debts. You pay on your debt, it's a good look. So your credit score should be increasing at this point. Debt settlement agencies are going to let fees pile up, and you're going to be owing because you're putting that money, and even that, you're putting money into a savings account with these debt settlement agencies that earn you no interest at all and benefit you in no way. So you're giving them a bunch of your money. They take your money, they probably invest it and get a return on it, and then take the principal and make an offer for a settlement, which may not be accepted. Why do all of that when you can just do it yourself? The time that you're taking to put money into the debt settlement agency's savings account, you could be giving it to whomever it is that you owe. You could be using it to pay down whatever debt. A lot of these agencies will take what you can give. So work with them and they will work with you. You own the debt. You borrowed whatever it was. You spent on whatever credit card it was. Don't try to hide away from it. Don't try to brush it under the mat. Why? It doesn't make sense. And this is how not only individuals but countries end up in debt. I was watching a video over the weekend where China has pretty much acquired countries all over the world because they have gone in and done little things and given them loans. And then these countries cannot repay these loans, and China will say, hey, listen, I've come to collect and you owe. You can't pay, I'm going to take. Pretty much like having a vehicle repossessed. And I saw the video and I was like, oh my goodness. That's exactly how these larger entities operate. They and debt settlement agencies are pretty much doing that. They're ripping your accounts. You know, they're taking your money off, making us an offer. They have nothing to lose. You're the one that own the debt. You have something to lose. Your credit is being damaged. And in a country where credit is king, what are you going to do? You can't do anything without your credit score being checked. You want an apartment, they're checking your credit score. You want to buy a house, they're checking your credit score. You get in a job, some jobs, they're checking your credit score. All of these things. So why make it worse? And that is how poor people end up poorer. Because the little bit of information that makes a big difference, they tend to ignore it. And if they're not ignoring it, then they just don't know it. Do me a favor. Do your friends a favor. Tell them that there's information out there. Even if you don't want to share this video. And it will be available by morning on kevinstew.com in the archives. If you go to the page and you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see video archives. This video from this show will be there. If you don't want to share that, fine. It's okay. Tell some people that, hey, listen, you can go and look up the benefits of talking to a debt collector versus talking and making arrangements with a debt settlement agency. Do the research yourself. I did the research. That's how I could present this show tonight. You do some research yourself. See what you find. And I guarantee you that you'll find things along the lines of what I was just talking about. So, what do you have to lose? Absolutely, positively nothing. What do you have to gain? A better credit score and something that is absolutely priceless. Knowledge. Can you beat that? My father used to say, you can't beat that with a long stick. And really and truly, it's just the truth. No frills, no thrills, just the plain truth. New music from Jadon. It's called Truth.
Don't need no debate, no way. Why you a hype up yourself? How you know say a lie you a tell? The truth, no call for no argument, no way. So why you a defend yourself? When you know say a lie you a tell? You tell a lie till you confuse yourself. Run down money and you don't got no help. Put your heart where you can't reach it. You ready? I see people things. Tell me why you want. If it have a ulterior motive and it's no secret. Me come here so fi speak it to everyone. Me come fi reveal it. No more. Me now hold no secret. Tell you say the truth. Don't need no defense.
Just a couple of reminders before we get deep into our musical therapy tonight.
When you do say a lie, you are
Jamaican Youth Link Up is happening this Thursday, October 3rd from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in the Miramar Cultural Center and Banquet Hall and Garden.
Why you want to play the victim when
This is a free event, and you don't want to miss it. But go ahead and do your RSVP on Eventbrite. Just look it up on Eventbrite, Jamaican Youth Link Up.
you want to change me energy? Why you want to see the enemy? As like
And it is definitely one of those things that you want to endorse. Even if you're not going yourself, get some people together, tell some people about it, and send them along the way and let them tell you what great time they had. Especially the youth. This is geared primarily towards our youth across the Jamaican diaspora. So we talked about it last week. I will be sharing about it until the end of this week. Another thing that's coming up at the end of the week is the Jamaica High 5K. This one is happening right here in Broward County at the Central Broward Regional Park. It's happening, race time is at 7 a.m. and you can register online at jamaica5k.com. Oh, listen, by the way, you go to kevinstew.com and you will see these two and links to the sites for these two events. So even if you don't remember, don't worry about it. Go to kevinstew.com. The slider at the top of the page, you will see flyers for these two events. Just click on it. It will take you where you need to go.
put you at where you can't reach it. You ready? I see people things. Tell me why you want. If it have a ulterior motive and it's no secret, me come here so fi speak it to everyone. Me come fi reveal it. No more, me now hold no secret. Tell you say the truth. Don't need no defense, no way. Why you a defend yourself when you know say a lie you a tell? The truth, no call for no argument, no way. So why you a hype up yourself when you know say a lie you a tell? Me did tell you, so every action I go bring up a reaction. Why you want to play the victim when you know how you do me wrong? You know it hurt me, 'cause you coulda killed me. Have you as a brother, so close to me, you shoulda never be. Tell me why you want to drain me energy. Why you want to see the enemy? As long as you have life, you are gonna live to see the best of me. Tell us the truth. Don't need no defense, no way. Why you want to defend yourself when you know say a lie you want to tell? The truth, no call for no argument, no way. So why you want to hype up yourself?
What a powerful song.
You say a lie you want to tell. You say a lie you want to tell. A song for you want to sell. The fire it a burn red, red. You know say a lie you want to tell. A song for you want to say. The truth don't need no defense, no way. Why you want to defend yourself when you know say a lie you want to tell? The truth, no call for no argument, no way. Why you want to defend yourself?
Every morning I wake up, it's your face I see. Give thanks and praises, you're watching over me. From the moment I met you, I knew you would be
This is the sound of Lady Tia.
protector in these streets.
Jah is my key.
For the youth in the ghetto, my Father I pray.
Courtesy of One Harmony Music.
Wisdom to choose the right way.
I haven't played this one in a minute.
I blame it on poverty, but that's not a crime. Some of the poorest people have the cleanest of minds. Some of the poorest people have the cleanest minds. For the youth in the ghetto, my Father I pray. Give them the wisdom to choose the right way. For the lack of knowledge, this nation will bleed. The crime we see here, I envy, jealousy and greed. Some are blaming on poverty, but that's not a crime. Some of the poorest people have the cleanest of minds. For the youths in the ghetto, my Father I pray. Give them the wisdom to choose the right way. For the lack of knowledge, this nation will bleed. See, our problem is jealousy and greed.
Last night, she called me on the phone, asking would I be coming home. She's feeling all alone. Is that
This is the sound of Kirk Davis, aka Little Kirk. as we roll through in our musical therapy. Music therapy is brought to you courtesy of GMAC Music Solutions. GMAC Music Solutions will bring your event to life, providing stage and light production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers. You name it, they have the connections for it. Get them a call, 754-307-GMAC. 754-307-4622, or you can visit them at gmatmusicsolutions.com. GMAT Music Solutions always helps me out with my events. I'm DJing somewhere. Chances are the equipment that I have came from GMAT Music Solutions. Someone else that is really able to help you out is the lady behind these creations right here called Miss Julianne Lee. You can reach Julianne at 954-281-2587 or email jmarie@jillianj.com. Go visit the website, JillianJ, GILLIAN-J.com. Julianne was also one of the presenters on this past weekend's workshop series, courtesy of MJ Media and PS Youth. Quite a successful event that was also.
It's been a while I've seen you smile.
For all the Hezites,
makes me wonder.
A little Hez run for you. 15 minutes to go.
It's been a while, it took some time.
A track called So In Love.
To like we used to chill and play for a while. Maybe I've been a little occupied. To keep you smiling, babe, I gotta hustle all the time. Now it seems to me you wanna ask me if my love is true. Just in case you are wondering, make no mistakes about my feelings for you. And I'm so in love with you. Yes, I'm so. All I do for you. Everything I do. Baby, I swear this is the truth. All I do for you. Maybe I could spend more time with you, baby. Maybe I could have told you more times that I do, baby. Maybe I could again kiss you more, yeah. Just to show you my love for you is secure. Baby, I'd walk 100,000 miles just to keep you
This is Ed Robinson.
I love you.
That's the title of the track.
I need you. There is nothing in this world I would do just to be with you, 'cause I love you. I need you. There is nothing I won't do for you to be my baby. Baby, I know that you're wondering if I'm just playing games here with your heart. Oh, baby, I know you worry, but you should know I'll never break your heart. So let me ease your mind, 'cause in these times, a love like ours is truly hard to find. Baby, I love you, I need you. There is nothing in this world I would do just to be with you, 'cause I love you. I need you. There is nothing I won't do for you to be my baby. Baby, there's no one in this world that could ever love me, girl, the way you do. No, you've been by my side through the years. You know my heart is yours, baby, so have no fear. Now let me ease your mind, 'cause in these times, a love like ours is truly hard to find. Baby, I love you. I really love you. I need you. There is nothing in this world, no way I would do just to be with you, 'cause I love you. Really love you. I need you. There is nothing I won't do, nothing I won't do for you, baby, to be my baby. Nothing I won't do, nothing I won't say, nothing I won't say, nothing I won't do, nothing I won't say. Baby, yeah, I love you.
Every day I can remember things of you and I. You used to laugh, love when you smile. Wonder all the time, where did it go? I can't understand.
This is Maurice Gregory.
Time ago, you were my,
Track called Grooving.
I was your man, and we used to be grooving, baby.
Maurice Gregory is
All night long. When the night
keyboard player from Third World.
we grooving to our own song. We used to be grooving, baby, grooving all night long. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter. You're grooving here with your man. If only today I can reflect, you I won't forget. And this I can tell you, you are my best. No, I can't settle for less. But here in my head, you never left. The more I try, I get frustrated, 'cause you're way above the rest. The grooving, baby, grooving all night long. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter. We're grooving to our own song. We used to be grooving, baby, grooving all night long. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter. You're grooving here with your man. Hey, I'm in some other place, thinking about another day. And just a look on your face was worth more than I could pay. Just to get another taste of your lips, my heart to raise. It feels like just yesterday. We're grooving, baby, grooving all night long. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter. We're grooving to our own song. We used to be grooving, baby, grooving all night long. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter. moving to our own song, baby. It was just yesterday. How did I let you get away? Hey, yeah. Moving to our own song, lady.
There's so many good songs out there.
There's so much more.
We don't even have enough time to get through them.
Say, oh, we used to be
But we're grooving through musical therapy tonight.
right along. When the night gets long, it doesn't matter.
And since we decided to play some Maurice Gregory,
We used to be grooving.
let's go ahead and just hit them with some Third World, right?
If you're out there somewhere feeling low,
Lead vocalist AJ Brown
only one, you're not the only one.
from the album More Work to Be Done. This is Third World working out with Damian Marley.
This a number third world, no study much. Richie Daly and me done. Age around a top of tops. Up to now, no boy no play guitar. We bad like Uncle Cat. Maurice Flavor, Papa Son. Norris played for Super Cat. Oh, one band so full of talent like the list just never stops. Go on eruption, fit like Figgle and can sprint a dozen laps. Steve Locker, engineer. Drug back a free a buck. Give the legend them props. Real uptown rebels, help put reggae on the map. More money, more problems. Not to say I would have swap, but it's lonely at the top. Some will say them are your friend, but are you alone a spend? Yes, still every man a shop. And one the newest things for cop. Man a go and roll a rems, cause you don't know the straps. Things sticky like sour sap. And one shepherd to a flock. See them hustle on the corner while they try to be a man, but it gets lonely on the block. And it's rough in the drop. And everybody need a hand to lift them up when them a drop.
If you're out there somewhere feeling lonely, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. If you're out there somewhere feeling lonely, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. So come on inside and tell me how you're feeling. Tell me all about the burdens that you bear. They say good conversations can be healing. You're not alone, 'cause I'm still all ears. Some folks got to go on their own journey. But if you ever wanna turn back, 'cause you're scared. Sometimes even highways can be lonely. You're not alone, 'cause I'm still right here. So if you're out there somewhere feeling lonely, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. If you're out there somewhere feeling lonely, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. People always wonder what's the meaning of life if you're not living for yourself. And whenever you get that empty feeling, you're not alone. Have you no fear? When each one sleep, they close their eyes. Then drift off in their thoughts. So it should come as no surprise. Sometimes we all get lost. And if you're out there somewhere
I should see what we can do to get AJ back.
only one, you're not the only. You're not the only one. If you're out
It's been a minute since he's been on this show.
lonely, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the only.
Since I hitting up with some new music, let me get you with one more bit of new music as we roll on out of here for the remainder of the evening, the night, the morning, the day, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is where you are. This is where we close out the night shift tonight. It's the I3 medley, courtesy of Sugar, Judy Mowat, Marcia Griffiths.
With that tribute to the great I3, to the Mowat Marcia Griffiths and the Rita Marley. Salute, black woman, ooh, black.
Y'all take care until tomorrow. Healthy Love Light tomorrow night. Healthy Love Night tomorrow night. Okay, cool. I'm out of here. Take care until we meet again. 10 p.m. Eastern right here. KevinStew.com.
Don't give up now, just pray for strength now. To you I'll dedicate my song. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Tribulation, why? What have I done? Tribulation. 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 There's no tribulation without a reason. Everything's got time and spell, and they got seasons. There's no resurrection without a crucifixion, and there's no liberty without humility. And if you turn the world upside down, you couldn't make it no better. No, no, no. Wall of affliction gets so high, you couldn't scale it with no ladder. Hey, could go below, couldn't go around. You've got to face it, my brother. It's good for your sister. Trying something else is like jumping from the frying pan straight into the fire. Straight into the fire. Straight into the fire. Tribulation,
Being in the moment is priceless. Consider the ability to share that moment. If you can video it, you can broadcast it. And Pulse E-Media Group has the tools you need. Weddings, birthdays, funerals, graduations, church services, parties, seminars, you name it. Pulse E-Media Group can provide you with a secure medium controlled by you to broadcast your event. Contact us at www.pulsemediagroup.com for more information. Pulse E-Media Group, when being in the moment is priceless.